What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Even if you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you can always help a brother out, and a brother would always help you out. Make sure that you comment so we can have conversations in the comment section. I will definitely reply because ball is life. Hit that notification bell so that you do not miss any of our fantastic content. And hold on to the end of this video because we will suggest some extra content that we know you will love. With that said, let's jump right into this. This is part 2 of Bron ain't got no bag. Bron ain't got no bag. Let's go. So, with this section, we're going to digest, and I'm saying digest instead of dissect because it's going to make my stomach hurt, and I'm probably going to throw it back up. But we're going to listen to Gil's Arena, and specifically, we're going to listen to Gilbert Arenas do his best to chuck and jive for LeBron James. And before, I want to give a slight apology. In part 1, I said be a chimpanzee for LeBron, which is basically like a little hype man in the back. That might be a little bit disrespectful, so I don't mean to disrespect you like that, Gil. But you are acting crazy. You definitely are being a little bit of a... I mean, I'm sorry. I want to use a better word than I feel like chimpanzee is maybe not the best word, but it's nicer than saying like groupie. Groupie is disrespectful. Chimpanzee is just like a clapping, non-human entity in the background. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I don't mean to disrespect you, Gil, but I'm trying to find a word to explain. You definitely be capping for LeBron. Maybe just call you a cap artist. Maybe that's more respectful. You're definitely capping. But what makes me more angry when it comes to Gil is this fake love. And I've talked about him briefly on some of my other videos. And I don't hate him. I think he's entertaining. He's a good father. I hope your son is doing okay because I know he got into a bad accident. Seemed like a good father. But I just don't understand this obsession you have with LeBron. You're a Laker fan, supposedly. You love Kobe, supposedly. Kobe is the one that got you into coaching and, helped you kind of take life in general, it seems like, a little bit more seriously. Kobe's work ethic is what you saw that helped you to become, your peak version, even though it didn't last that long. But, he helped you get to that point, and then you just consistently disrespect him. And, you just cap for LeBron, though. That's what kills me the most. Like, you cap for him. So, in this little segment we're about to listen to, all of them just go on a spree of just capping for this guy. And I don't get it, man. It's just like, just call it what it is, man. He don't got no bag. But it really doesn't matter that much because, like LeBron said in part 1, he still got a lot of points. You can't take that from him. So he mastered scoring to that extent. But let's listen to what these guys have to say.
Listen, he doesn't have a bag.
Bron does not have a bag.
No. He just gets to where he got to get to. So that's his bag. It might not be flashy, it might not be all over the place, but his bag works for him and for what he's able to be great at.
It doesn't need to be 17 dribbles to go take this step back. Overrated, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes that do all that shoot low percentages. The ball go through the basket. That's all that matters.
Serious.
That's all that matters. No, seriously.
So you don't need a Birkin bag. You can have...
Put the ball in the rim.
Put that in a grocery bag.
Grocery
Long
bag
as
still
they get that from point A to point B.
I think social media has a lot to do with, like, players today. They do stuff that they don't really have to do. You can make one move and get by your defender, and because you beat your defender instead of taking a shot, you're going to sit there and dribble, or pull it back out because you want to show that you got a bag.
No great has a bag. Did Kareem have a bag? Like, this era says bag. Our era, a sports center player. He's the oohs and ahs guy. He's just there to try to get somebody to say, ooh, the dollar move, 10-cent finish. That's the bag today.
Yeah.
Where you have some trainer who wasn't good or decent as a player, learned a bunch of moves, and he's giving it to these kids, and these kids is coming down, we're going to do this, we're going to pop, we're going to do the step back, we're going to hold it, we're going to fake, we're going to do the spin.
All of that.
If you are good, you're not wasting your time doing that because it's just easier. Like, if I'm fast, my dribble is not because I'm going to use my speed. So the faster you are, the less dribbling you have because I don't need to sit here and try to cross you. I'm going to just go by you.
Just right.
Right? If I can jump over you, I don't need no other. I don't need to sit here and do this. It's just, what's happening? Meet me at the rim.
So, listening to this, it wasn't the worst, right? It wasn't the worst. They did all admit, like, yeah, he ain't got no bag. So they were willing to admit that. But where I listen to the details, guys. So if I'm nitpicking, again, in the comment section, feel free. Let's have a conversation if I'm nitpicking. But what I heard that stood out to me as I was listening to this clip is that, like, LeBron has no bag, but then Gil goes like, well, none of the great players had a bag. Stop. Right there. See, now you're doing too much. That's when we turn into the clapping hands in the background, the chucking and the jiving. Yes, a boss. Yes, a boss, Bron. Yes, a Bron boss. They always make fun of Gil and say he's collecting clutch checks, and he always takes it too far. Like Rich Paul is like in his back pocket just a little bit. Here's something off the side. Just say something a little bit to confuse people. And if you're not a strong-minded person, if you don't watch basketball 24/7 like I do, if you haven't seen dang near every great player since you've been alive and even did your research on some of the great players in the past. Now, I'm not the most well-versed on all the guys of all time, but especially from the time period I've been watching it, I could dang near tell you mostly everything. And it's not just about statistics, it's about watching it, right? What he failed to tell you is that most great players do have a bag. However, the top scorers of all time, not all of them had a bag. That I'll agree with. He mentioned Kareem, and I guess you could say, okay, Kareem, not so much. I really didn't watch Kareem like that. He's before my time. Before I was born, I think, is when he last played. So he's before my time. But he had the sky hook. I heard he had a spin move. I really didn't watch him all the time like that. But I did see him play against Julius Erving in the All-Star game one-on-one, and he beat the brakes off of him. So I think Kareem might have been a little bit more skilled than we give him credit for. And it's hard for me to speak on him because I really didn't watch him like that. I didn't watch his highlights or really that much. Funny enough, I feel like I've seen more highlights on Wilt Chamberlain than I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's really kind of sickening how much people don't discuss him or really show his clips like that. Like when you watch the National Basketball Association, they have those highlights of players. They show Magic and Bird all the time. They rarely show Kareem. It's kind of messed up. If I was Kareem, I would question that. So I really don't know. Karl Malone was a skilled player, but not overly skilled. He still overpowered people, ran through people's chests. He was strong as heck. But he had a midi. He had a mid-range when I watched him play. Mid-range. I don't think he was the best post player. He was skilled. He looked like a less skilled Chris Webber to me. If you guys ever saw Chris Webber, Webber was really skilled. A little less skilled than Chris Webber. Well, less skilled than Chris Webber. But he was nice. And the top guys are usually is scoring, I believe, right now are Bron, Kareem, and Malone. And I think Shaq is somewhere up there as well. And I don't consider Shaq an overly skilled player. The only two that are up there that are not like unbelievably skilled are unbelievably skilled, I think, are Michael and Kobe. And let me Google that. Top 10 NBA scorers. And the top 10 NBA scorers are LeBron, Kareem, Karl, Kobe, Mike, Dirk, Wilt, Durant, Julius, and Moses. So I would say most of the guys are not really like skill guys, right? Most of the guys are guys that can jump over you or are bigger than you. So I would say Kevin Durant is highly skilled. Mike and Kobe are highly skilled. Dirk is highly skilled. But Wilt, I don't know if I would call Wilt highly skilled. It seems like in the playoffs when they needed him to be more skilled, he folded a lot of times. Kareem, again, I can't really speak on Kareem. I don't know if I would call him overly skilled. He was definitely bigger than everybody else and had longer reach than most people. So that's definitely something that he had. Somebody can correct me, an OG, if you're listening to this. Please comment OG and give me some support on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Karl Malone, I do think Karl Malone was skilled. Is he as skilled as like Dirk or Tim Duncan or Chris Webber, in my opinion? No. From when I watched him play, his game was very basic. But he had crazy strength. And he did have crazy touch, so his shooting skill was impressive for his size. I'm not going to lie. He ran the floor well. He had good touch. So I don't know if I would call Karl Malone like highly skilled. He's not the most highly skilled power forward, but he's skilled. So I guess I'd give him that. But like really superior skill level, I don't think that's what he was. And then you have like Julius Erving and Moses. Like those are good. Julius Erving could jump over you. So that was really what he relied on. Moses Malone was just a physical presence on the boards. He just, he was a beast down low, but he kept his moves simple from what I've seen in highlights. Obviously, I never watched him play live. He's also before my time. So, I'm with Gilbert and the crew as far as like saying like you don't really necessarily need a bag. LeBron said that. I agree. But don't discount the point of having one. Right? Because one of the reasons I don't believe LeBron is the GOAT or anywhere near that conversation is because to me, the top players of all time, first of all, the first thing you need to have is the winning. And he lacks the winning. But also something that I noticed for many of the top players, they had go-to moves when it mattered down the stretch. And you couldn't just stop them in one way. So it's cute to say, oh, Kobe, like Gil saying, oh, they didn't, if you're fast, you use the speed. If you could jump over them, you jump over them. If you're stronger than them, you use that. That sounds good, but Shaq was all of those things. 3-time MVP, back to back to back. He didn't close those games. Kobe did. And he didn't go to 3 straight finals without Kobe. Kobe did that. Why? Is it just that Kobe was some god and Shaq wasn't good? Not saying that. But what Kobe had was elite level skill. His bag work was impeccable. If you look at the shots he could hit, yes, it all started from basic moves. That's true. However, once he started really getting into his bag, there was really just nothing you could do. Because if you couldn't stop him with the basic stuff, then he upped it to another level and then was using other moves. And in fact, let's touch on that real quick because Gil's going to say some other stuff here that this is where, to me, this is really where he's using skill in a way to benefit LeBron and take away from skilled players. Check this out.
People look at Kobe and say he has the ultimate bag. It was the fundamentals he had first. His fundamentals was perfect. His movements was already solid from youth. If you look at the young Kobe, he wasn't doing the same thing that he was doing when he was older. Once he started realizing, perfecting the simple parts of basketball, understanding angles, understanding, all right, he likes to jump on a pump fake. And if I pump fake here, what is this movement look like? What does the human behavior do right here? And I'm right-handed. If he jumps, how do I get the shut off? I can go under or I can spin back and then I can spin back with the fade. That's techniques. Only NBA players should be adding to their bag. There shouldn't be youth with bags. You're not old enough to understand all the fundamentals of basketball. We're still learning nuances of the game. So if you got a deep bag, you're 15, 16, 17, 18, what does your fundamentals look like?
And so here, as he's talking to me, it just sounds like he's trying to minimize Kobe's bag to show that you just got to learn the fundamentals of the game, and like LeBron has, and then you're too young to practice on the bag, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. We're minimizing. Ultimately, you may say I'm nitpicking with this video. I can even admit that you might think that, but if I think about how people think. And if you watch Gil's Arena, I watch Gil's Arena. I like Gil's Arena. But I also know that they're going to do, specifically Gil, whatever he can to really cap for LeBron. And ultimately, that means backhandedly, in this sense, looking at Kobe Bryant and saying, oh, well, his game was more basic than you think. Right? He had another video where he said Kobe, and maybe I'll do something about, do a video on that. He was basically saying like, oh, Kobe Bryant, the reason that he, had all those moves is because he wasn't good enough to beat you with the first move. Just nonsensical, dumb stuff. Like Kobe Bryant wasn't being double and triple teamed, and that's why he didn't master some of these other things. Like, that's neither here nor there in this video. But I know that Gil talks like that, and I know he thinks that way. And so that's why I'm able to make this conclusion. even if it seems like I might be reaching a little bit, he's basically taking the idea of the bag and trying to say that, oh, well, Kobe mastered the basics. And that's why you see Kobe master this basic, because he didn't worry about the bag. And then, so if you're a kid coming up, don't worry about the bag. Absolutely not. Wrong. You practice till you can't practice no more, son. If you're a younger person listening to this. Now, obviously, balance is important. You know, in my opinion, you should have some level of spirituality to you. Take time for family. Take a little bit of time for yourself just to relax. You know, get your body right, stuff like that. Calm your mind. Meditation is good. You know, on the right things, on success. But practice your butt off. You're darn right you better practice your butt off. And you better practice your moves. The question is, unlike what Gil is saying, where it's like, oh, you don't need... No, you do need a bag. Kobe Bryant, at the end of the day, was unstoppable because once he was getting you with the basics, and then you made an adjustment, he adjusted again. And then when you adjusted again, he adjusted again. And then when you adjusted again, he adjusted again. And then sometimes again. To the point where Dirk Nowitzki was like, yo, he was doing things that just didn't make sense. He just could find ways to score buckets. He scored 63 on Dirk, and a year where Dirk went to the finals. I believe they went to the finals that year. Kobe scored 63 on their team before their team had 60. That's never been done before. And then sat out. That's crazy. So no, you don't score 63 before the other team scores 60 when you don't have a bag. You need a bag. Specifically for the end of games. The final few minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want to call it. And that's where LeBron not having a bag, like I've said, is a problem. And I don't know if I said it in this video or the one before, part 1 or earlier in part 2, which you're listening to right now. But that's LeBron's flaw is the finishing. That's why he's 4-6 in the finals. You have to be able to have a bag to close out games. Otherwise, teams sit on you. You're predictable. If you know he's going to drive or you know he's going to pass and then blame Danny Green, and then his fans are going to hate Danny Green because he missed a shot, why can't LeBron hit that shot? LeBron has to be surrounded by shooting at all time. Kobe Bryant was the shooter. Michael Jordan, they were the shooters. And maybe not necessarily in Jordan's case from 3, but the mid-range, you don't have to be this down and out 3-point sniper in order to win games and to close games out. If you've been paying attention, right now the finals are going on between the Pacers and the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous has 72 points in his first 2 finals games. That's more than anybody else ever. Most of his points are he's attacking the mid-range or going to the basket. He actually has not shot that great from the 3-point line in the playoffs. But you don't need it when you got a bag. When you got a bag that allows you to get to your mid-range. I remember watching a video where Kobe said, it all comes from the pull-up. Everything starts and ends from the ability to pull up. Whether that's 1 dribble, 2 dribble, you're always going to get back to this pull-up. That's really where it all comes from. And I practice it so much from so many different angles at so many different release points that I'm going to get this shot off. And that's what makes SGA tough. How many times you see him do a simple behind the back or a simple push dribble or a simple between the legs and he got enough space for that midi. LeBron never mastered that. You know LeBron's either going to shoot some weird step back 3 in which he was missing a lot of them. He was like 1 for 19 versus Denver or something crazy like that. Or he missed 19 straight. So why you keep shooting that shot? Get to the midi. But he don't have that bag. He don't have that in his bag. LeBron losing to Jokic all the time in the last few years. It's not because LeBron sucks. It's because you need to practice your other bag work. But he never has. You know, he never has. He's relied on other people to supplement what he didn't practice on to be completely unstoppable. If LeBron James had a midi, there'd be nobody be able to stop him. Nobody. And he ain't going nowhere with the longevity. He probably would have won 1 million more championships. He'd probably be 10-0. But he never really looked to master it. You know what I mean? And people are making excuses for him like Gilbert. You know? You have to master the overall art of the basketball game. It can't just be driving and kicking 24/7 and high pick and roll. And that's the difference. And to be honest with you, when we talk about bags, I'm going to leave you with this final point. My favorite version of LeBron James was on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The first time. That LeBron, I rocked with. Now, I didn't think he was better than Kobe. Because I don't really think anybody has ever been better than Kobe, in my opinion. You want to say Mike? I ain't mad at you. You want to say Kareem is more the GOAT than Kobe? I'm fine with that too. But when we're talking about players and breakdown of how good they are, I will take Kobe with my first pick every single time. Unabashedly, with my chest. You know, no shame at all. But LeBron on the Cavs the first time was I liked LeBron. I was rooting for him. He sounded different in his interviews. I thought he was a hard worker. He was way more creative. He had a bag back then. I lie to you not. Back then he had a bag. He was doing all kinds of moves because he didn't have like this set cookie cutter high pick and roll. I'm going to dribble to the basket or I'm going to shoot a three. It was more like there was more to his game. And it wasn't, his mid-range wasn't consistent. He wasn't consistently hitting his free throws, but you still got more creativity out of him. Things where you're like, dang, yo, I can't believe he just did that. He was a freak, and he still is. But there was a different energy. There was a different aura to him. Once he started joining super teams, a lot of his game, in my opinion, dissipated. He started being much more basic in everything that he did. Much more scheduled, much more cookie cutter, much more stiff. And he started winning not because he was getting better, not because his bag was getting deeper, but because he was surrounding himself with more talent. And since he joined Miami, that's all we're seeing from him. The bag, the practicing the bag, the growing the bag really stopped once he joined Miami. And some of you may say, oh, he's a better three-point shooter. Okay. But again, when he needs that shot, is it there? Missed 19 straight against the Nuggets. When he needs that shot, was it there against the Timberwolves this year in the playoffs? When he needs that shot, is he hitting spin around jump shots? When he needs it? Is he making all his free throws when he really needs it? And the answer to that question, in my opinion, is no. He just thinks that because I aligned myself with Luka Doncic and AD before him, oh, I should be able to win these championships. It's not that simple. You have to master the game. Part of mastering the game is growing your bag deeper. But you know what? For those of you listening, if you just want points, if you just want to be on the top of the leaderboard, then you know, by golly, by gosh, which sounds crazy, by the way. I wonder if I can make this a thing. By golly, by gosh. Who knows? We'll try it out a few times. By golly, by gosh. Go ahead and act like you're a 10-year-old playing Super Smash Brothers or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or one of those games and just spam the kick and the punch button. Spam it. Tekken was real good for that. You ever pick Eddie Gordo in Tekken? Be a spammer, a button spammer. Spam the heck out of those buttons. And then that'll make you LeBron James and you will be the overall leading scorer of all time. You can spam the buttons and you got the size, the strength, the speed better than everybody else, even when you're 40. Keep spamming those buttons. But when the game gets tough and it gets close, you need a bag. You need a BAG so that you can put B to B, belt to butt cheeks in those moments. Okay? Can't just rely on I'm bigger, stronger, faster than people at the end of a game when a championship is on the line. That's how you end up 4-6, Gilbert. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that you were able to follow some of the things that I was talking about. This is a video that I think you really have to pay attention to, or some of those things might go over your head. And, you know, obviously, having a bag is not everything. I just want to close by saying that. It's not everything. There's a lot of people, I think, that have bags that waste time, you know, that do too much dancing. James Harden is one of those people, in my opinion. And why he loses is because maybe he has too deep of a bag and doesn't know when to keep it simple. So it's still about balance at the end of the day. There's a time to be simple. There's a time to reach deep in the bag. LeBron's always really simple. And James Harden is a lot of times doing too much to the point where he ends up doing nothing. So you have to really balance it. And if you're a young basketball player coming up, you really got to watch the players that win the most. Because if you notice, they're balanced in their approach. Sometimes it's very simple. And sometimes when they really need a bucket and you got to dig really deep, you got to do a little bit more to get that bucket. And those are usually the guys that win the most, that have the most championships. So pay attention to that. Thank you for listening this long. I greatly appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Make sure you hit the comment section. Tell me, what do you think, man? Do you think LeBron has a bag? Do you think LeBron stopped growing his bag in Miami? Do you think he still should have worked on his bag a little bit more so he could really be that great closer that he probably had the potential to be? Was LeBron the favorite version of him, his Cavs version, like he was mine? You know, what do you think? Do you think Gil was right? Do you think Gil was a little out of pocket? Do you think I was reaching a little bit? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's have a conversation. Ball is life. You know we got to do that. So make sure that you hit that notification button so you don't miss any of our great content. Make sure after that you hang on for this video to end, because guess what? There's some suggested videos that we know you'll love. Make sure you catch part 1 if you're only listening to part 2 now. You know, help me out, man. Like, really, I did all that work for part 1. I know this is part 2, and maybe you're just catching part 2, but go back and help a brother out and just listen to at least a part of part 1. Listen to it a little bit. Give it 5 minutes, and if you hate it, cut it off. But give it 5 minutes. Let's try to balance out these part 1s and 2s. Let's try to balance out the 1s and 2s, my brothers and sisters. All right? Please, help a brother out. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Very humble. Much love.